Welcome to Bits of History, brought to you by the Seward Community Library and Museum. My name is Lee Pileski. This bit is a Seward History Trivia Quiz. Since this is a history test, I suggest to use historic materials, paper and a pencil, to answer the following questions. Number 1. Which Seward church is listed on the National Register of Historic Places? Number 2. In 1919, the deputy U.S. Marshal in Seward was killed by a suspected murderer. What was the marshal's name? Number 3. In what year was Seward's first newspaper published? What was the name of the paper? Number 4. In 1954, an Anchorage builder developed and built the Clearview subdivision in Seward. What was his name? Number 5. Who was the ruler of Russia, including Alaska, when the Phoenix was launched into Resurrection Bay in 1794? Number 6. What U.S. Navy cruiser visited Seward in 1935 and in 1945 was sunk by a Japanese submarine after delivering essential components for the atomic bomb to Tinian? Number 7. Who won the first Seward Silver Salmon Derby in 1956, and what was the prize? Number 8. What was the name of the ship which brought Seward's founders to Resurrection Bay on August 28, 1903? Number 9. It has been called Sugarloaf Island and Guard Island, but what is the official name of this Resurrection Bay island? Number 10. Who represented the Seward area at the Alaska Constitutional Convention in 1956? Before I give the answers, you might want to pause the program to check on some of your answers or to look up some answers. Here are the answers. Number 1. St. Peter's Episcopal Church, located at the corner of 2nd Avenue and Adams Street, was placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1979. Constructed during 1905-1906, it was the first church built in Seward. Number 2. Marshal Isaac Evans was killed by William Dempsey, a suspected murderer he had picked up at the Seward Railroad Depot, and was escorting to the federal jail located in the basement of the Harriman Bank building. In the narrow passageway between the bank and the marshal's office behind it, Dempsey dropped a bundle of clothing, stooped to pick it up, and pulled a gun from it. Shots were exchanged. Evans was wounded, and Dempsey ran off. Evans died two days later, and Dempsey gave himself up on the same day. Tried and convicted, he was serving a life term at the federal prison on McNeil Island in Washington State when he escaped on June 30th, 1940. He was never seen again. If he died in the effort to reach the mainland or successfully lived out his life as a free man is not known. Number 3. Seward's first newspaper was the Seward Gateway, and the first issue came out on August 19th, 1904. Although the front page had an embarrassing typo, giving the year as 1094. Number 4. Clearview was Walter J. Hickle's first big construction project. He, of course, went on to become Governor of Alaska and the Secretary of the Interior. 5. Catherine the Great was Empress of Russia in 1794. Born in the small German state of Anhalt-Zerbst, she married Paul, the heir to the throne of Russia, in 1774. Paul succeeded to the throne in January 1762. He was very unpopular, and a group of conspirators proclaimed Catherine the ruler in his place in June. Shortly afterward, he was murdered. Catherine expanded Russia, centralized the government's powers, and encouraged the colonization of Alaska. She died in 1796. 6. In July 1945, the USS Indianapolis was assigned to carry parts in the enriched uranium for the atomic bomb, later dropped on Hiroshima, to Tinian, after which it returned to Guam, from which it was sent to the Philippines. On the way, it was sunk by a Japanese submarine on July 30th, 1945. Of the crew of 1,196, 880 survived the sinking. The ship's failure to arrive at the Philippines was not reported, and it was by chance that on August 2nd a routine air patrol sighted the survivors. Only 321 of the original 880 were still alive. 5 died after being rescued. Number 7. William Kupfer, K-U-P-F-E-R, of Anchorage won the first Derby with a 15.08-pound salmon. The grand prize was a 1956 Chevrolet Bel Air sedan. Number 8. The Santa Ana, owned by the Alaska Pacific Navigation Company, brought Seward's founders to Resurrection Bay in 1903. It also brought the first railroad engine for the Alaska Central Railway to Seward in 1904. Number 9. In 1905, the local name of this island was Sugarloaf Island. The surveyors of the Alaska Central Railway had called it Guard Island. The Bureau of Geographic Names settled the matter by officially naming it Hive Island. Number 10. Irv Metcalf, here shown signing the Alaska Constitution, represent the Seward area in the 1956 Alaska Constitutional Convention. He had previously served as a Deputy U.S. Marshal and served in the Territorial House of Representatives. After statehood, he served in both the State House and Senate, and on the Kenai Borough Assembly. He also owned Metcalf's Cash Grocery at Mile 5 on the Seward Highway. If you missed any of these questions, remember, you're going to learn more about Seward's history at the Seward Community Library Museum at 6th and Adams. Thank you for listening to this bit of history.